Hey guys, Fantasy Kings here. Today we are very excited to be bringing you guys Week 13 matchups, discussing the fantasy implications it's going to have on your weekly games. So to start us off, Jack, I thought we would start with the Washington football team playing against the Pittsburgh Steelers. What are your thoughts on this matchup?
Yeah, so before I get to that matchup, I just wanted to say that many of the leagues around the fantasy world, yeah, this is your last regular season game before playoffs. So, yeah, we're really going to be trying to help you with guys you can throw in to try and get a playoff spot, to try and clinch a bye week if you do that, to get your preferable matchup going into playoffs. So, yeah, like Don said, we're starting with the Washington football team at the Steelers. Well, the Washington football team are in an interesting spot right now as they're competing with the Giants for the division because it looks like the Eagles and the Cowboys have fallen off the tracks a little bit, and it looks like, yeah, it's going to be a battle between the Giants and the Washington football team for the leader of the division going into the playoffs. The Washington football team has two really bright spots this year in Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson. Those two guys should be in your lineup every single week. But going against a team like the Steelers, who's undefeated, they have the hype of that, their defense is going, everything's going to keep them undefeated. Yes, some of those other guys that you might consider as a different play, probably not going to be as valuable this week. So, yeah, I would stick to Terry McLaurin and Antonio Gibson like you should every week. And, yeah, the Washington football team is going to need some more pieces if they want to build on that. But right now, they actually look like they're shaping up to have a pretty good future.
It's funny because there's so many teams now that are looking for their quarterback and stuff, or drafting their quarterback through the draft. They thought they had their guy in Dwayne Haskins, didn't work out. So now Washington, they have all like the piece of the offense except the quarterback. So it'll be interesting. I'm assuming since they're going up now in record winning, they're not going to have the highest pick in the draft. So they're probably going to look to sign someone in free agency. So it'll be interesting to see who that guy is, if they stick with Alex Smith or if they go in a different direction. But it's just going to be that team has a bright future, and I'll be excited to see what happens. As for the Steelers, however, they're going up against another stingy pass defense. Last week was Baltimore. Neither three, the big three, Schuster, Johnson, and Claypool, they didn't have like the best performance, and this is kind of becoming a trend now where I think it's when they're going up against the harder pass defenses, it's getting harder for them to get those targets in the red zone and put up those points that we like seeing. And that's just because they're lower scoring games. There's less opportunities for big plays. So when they're going up a team against with a good pass defense like the Washington football team, I would be careful in starting any of them and look for better options. But if not, they'll still get decent points, but not the same volume you guys want to see happen.
Yeah, and if you really take a deeper dive into the Steelers, James Conner hasn't been a huge factor this year. They have really relied on that great receiver core they've built, which has been great for all of them. They have all fit in well. But yeah, their running game has not been amazing this year, but that is also due to the pack of their great wide receivers. I do think the Steelers will take this one and remain undefeated.
Yeah, Jack, I agree with you 100% on that one.
Okay, going into the next matchup, we have the Giants at the Seahawks. So yeah, like I said, the Giants and the Washington football team are the two teams looking for that number one division spot. The Giants obviously having the crumbling injury of Saquon to start the season, basically. Yeah, they've had some slippery slopes that they've had to deal with this season due to that. But now they have had Wayne Gallman kind of take a second step. He's nothing as Saquon Barkley, but no, he has taken another step, and he's looking like a good running back. He's probably a good flex play for you. And then they have wide receivers who maybe could be a flex play. I'd probably lean towards like Slayton and Shepard instead of Tate. He's kind of fallen off this year. But yeah, no, the Giants are the rest of their season is just going to be battling. So, yeah, if you need some open spots in the flex, you have injuries, consider playing one of those guys.
Yeah, and I loving the Seahawks matchup this week. If you got Lockett or Metcalf, make sure they're in your lineup. Chris Carson as well. Um, I'm excited to see this receiving core really just go all out on this poor Giants defense. So I think the Seahawks are just going to take this one from the start. Look for Lockett and DK both to have top 20 performances this week. I could totally see that being realistic. I'm very excited to watch this game to see what the Seahawks can do to this poor pass defense the Giants have.
Yeah, I think the Seahawks will take this one as well. The Giants are going to be putting up all they can, though, because, yeah, they want to make that playoff spot. Going into the next matchup, we have the Colts at the Texans. So, yeah, the Colts are interesting because they're only behind the Titans by one game right now, bringing in Phillip Rivers. He has looked pretty good. And the interesting part of them, again, has been the running back core. Jonathan Taylor, Nyheim Hines, and then Marlon Mack getting injured at the start of the season and never really getting his role back after that. So, yeah, it's kind of left to Nyheim Hines and Jonathan Taylor when both healthy. And I think Jonathan Taylor is going to keep getting his touches increased, as you see with a lot of the young guys. He's been there for, most of the season. He's been healthy. He knows his place, and they're going to try and get him the ball even more, as every young running back does. They increase the touching rate because, they want him to keep learning, and like they drafted them, intended to eventually take over that running back one role. So, I think Jonathan Taylor is still molding, but he's getting there. So he is a good play. I like Jonathan Taylor. And then you look at their wide receiver core. T.Y. Hilton is just getting older. He's not what he used to be due to his age. You've seen some drop in value. But you have seen Michael Pittman, who has taken some steps this year and has looked pretty good. He's another considerable flex play if you think about it. Yeah, but this Colts team is looking like a playoff team, and we'll see what pans out.
Yeah, it'll be excited to see, like you mentioned, Pittman, how he's going to develop and for seasons to come. As for the Texans, however, Will Fuller, as you guys all know probably by now, has been suspended for the rest of the season and one game next season. So that's just pounding news to anyone who has him. Oh my gosh, he had such a great season, his best season in the NFL so far. He's going to have to cut it short due to his suspension. But look for Brandon Cooks, really, to get more targets. So, honestly, this week included, I think you can throw him into your lineups and start expecting more that we haven't really seen from Brandon Cooks. And same with Randall Cobb, too. Not as much as Brandon Cooks, but I think Randall Cobb, some weeks when they're going up against easier defense, he could be a flex play. So, those two guys, their volume is going to go up.
And other news with the Texans is they will be getting David Johnson back after he went down with the concussion. So, that'll be another good thing for them. But really, with Will Fuller being out, that's a tough blow for them. I do think the Colts will take this.
Yes, I have the Colts as well. After, like I mentioned, Fuller being out, they're just not going to really have that edge they had. So I got the Colts as well.
And then going into the Lions at the Bears, the Lions have also had some injuries, like about every team. Kenny Galladay's season has been injury prone, and he hasn't been a huge factor due to his injuries, so that's been a big problem. If you're a Kenny Galladay owner, you've probably been very frustrated with him. But Marvin Jones Jr. has had a good season due to that, and T.J. Hawkinson taking a step up in tight end. That is huge. But other news with them is Deandre Swift is now looking to not play this week. He has been demoted to doubtful in ESPN for week 13, so that's not looking good. But if he does go down, Adrian Peterson had a great week last week. So, look to play him in place of your Deandre Swift if he is a no-go, which is looking like will happen. But, I think the Lions should put up a decent fight against this Bears team who has kind of been declining.
Yeah, I like what you said about Adrian Peterson because I did just that. I have DeAndre Swift, so I picked up Peterson because if Swift isn't good to go this week. Peterson is a pretty good option after what he did last week. As for the Bears, however, Allen Robinson is questionable as of right now, and it looks like it's going to be a game time decision. For game time decisions, it's always annoying because you never know how much they will play if they are promoted to active, because a lot of coaches are sometimes still very cautious about the injury, especially when you got a guy like Allen Robinson who's a top 10 wide receiver in the league. So I think they're going to be a little cautious with him this week. So I think he's a flex at best just because of that. Usually, wide receiver one, but just because of this injury he's got going into tomorrow, I'd just be careful with him.
Yeah, I actually think the Bears will take this one. I think the Lions will lose this game.
Yeah, actually, Chicago has won 5 straight games against Detroit, and I think they're going to make it 6. So I have the Bears as well.
Yeah, they need a bounce back, kind of a last hope, maybe get a winning streak, maybe sneak in. But yeah, they've really fallen off the past 4 weeks. Going into the next matchup, we have the Browns at the Titans. These are both 8-3 teams. If you hear the Browns are 8-3, most people are put into shock. No one expected the Browns to be 8-3, and still some people can't even believe when you hear that. And Odell isn't even playing. This is due to, as I said, the Kareem Hunt and Nick Chubb. Great seasons for both of them. Both great plays. The split roll thing they're doing is just beautiful. They're both really getting good touchdowns, and they're looking really good. The addition of Austin Hooper has been good with Odell out, and Jarvis Landry has also had to step up a little bit. But yeah, the really big thing about them is because Baker isn't some crazy good quarterback. Their defense has been good this year. Their defense really has been helping them get to 8-3, of course, because their offense isn't this huge superpower as it looked to be last year. No, it really has been the defense this year, and yeah, the Browns are actually a good team.
So as for the Titans, however, Derrick Henry, I think he's going to be looking to continue. He's been pretty good all year. He's going to continue that against the Browns. But their wide receivers have kind of had, in the past couple of weeks, kind of broken out a bit. Corey Davis and A.J. Brown, both. A.J. Brown, we've known he's kind of been a thing a little earlier. But especially Corey Davis, I'm talking about, he's kind of started to become a reliable almost flex play because he's been getting 10, at least, like minimum 10 points or higher. So I think Brown or Davis are great flex plays for this week as well.
Yeah, and really looking into Derrick Henry, his size has created this unique style of running back, and I really love watching him. And he is really the face of this team, the young face, and yeah, he is the best. Yeah, like you said, AJ Brown, their wide receiver one. I think, and due to that, I think the Titans will take this one. The Browns have a good record, but I really don't think their offense can go head to head with this Titans offense.
Yeah, I agree.
Going into the next matchup, we have the Raiders at the Jets. And the big news out of the Raiders is Josh Jacobs is out this week. Yeah, he's done, and he's hurt. So the guy stepping up, looking like Devontae Booker, who has actually had some good weeks when Josh Jacobs is in. So yeah, Devontae Booker, he should be a good play. Obviously a replacement play for Josh Jacobs. If you can get him, even if you don't have Josh Jacobs. Yeah, the Raiders 6-5, one of these middle of the road teams that I like talking about, how their rebuild is kind of like over, but they still need some more pieces to step it up, and they kind of have been the Chiefs' antidote this year, even though they lost to them the second time, but that's a whole separate story. But yeah, no, the Raiders, they're playing an 0-11 team. Most of these guys should have a good week. Look for Darren Waller to have a good week. And yeah, like I said, Devontae Booker. And the wide receiver area there is kind of iffy because Henry Ruggs hasn't been a huge rookie factor as the rest of the class has. And Nelson Aguilar has been better, but he's no star. But against the Jets, some of these guys will have big weeks.
Yeah, and you know what? I was looking at this matchup and I was thinking for the Jets. I know we usually make our match predictions at the end here, but I think for the Jets is their best chance of winning this season against the Raiders. I think
It might.
that after this week and they still don't win, I think they're going to go without a win. So for the Jets, I'm not picking them. I'm not 100% on this, but I think that if the Jets are going to win at all this season, the time is now. Speaking, fantasy wise, you really should not be starting anyone on the Jets besides possibly Frank Gore if you're in desperate need of a flex play. Um, but yeah, like I said, for the Jets, I think this is their last chance. So we'll see. We'll see what happens.
Yeah, they whole new coach, new everything. Their season is just kind of. I do think the
Yeah,
Raiders will take
yeah.
it, but yeah, like you said, Connor. Yeah, this is their best chance. Going into the next matchup, we have the Jaguars at the Vikings. Well, the funny thing about the Jaguars is that they came out hot at the start of the season and won their first game and have lost the next 10, going through multiple quarterbacks being benching Minshew, benching Lutton, and now they're on Mike Glennon. Um, Mike Glennon, he's nothing special, and he shouldn't be played in any leagues, but you really hope he can just target the big guys there. James Robinson should be getting his points, and news there, DJ Chark is good to go this week, so he should be back. I'm pretty sure Chenault was also banged up. I think he's good to go now as well. So, yeah, Glennon's getting back some pieces. I don't expect the Jaguars to do anything special, though. But, yeah, James Robinson is their fantasy factor, and DJ Chark has been on and off, and he's been injured. So I wouldn't trust him, but he is a flex play this week if you are in dire need.
I was surprised that they were really going with Glennon because they cleared Minshew, right? So he's back, maybe not 100%, but I would have stuck with Minshew because he's been fine, right? He's been sort of like Baker in a sense where there's better options, right? But Gardner Minshew, he's been
He's better
fine.
than Mike Glennon, let's be honest.
Exactly. Yes, exactly. That's the point I'm trying to get across
Mm-hmm.
is that I think they should have stuck with Minshew. And honestly, if it looks like Glennon's struggling at all during this game, look for maybe Minshew coming back next week. As for the Vikings, however, Adam Thielen is looking to continue his dominance against this porous Jags defense. I look for him to have a stellar
He's good
game.
to go. That's huge. With him being out with the COVID stuff, I haven't really took a deep dive, but there was like some uncertainty if he had it or if he was in close contact. But yeah, like Connor's probably going to get into, that will balance him and Justin Jefferson out, both huge factors.
Yeah, for sure. I do have the Vikings winning this matchup, however.
Yeah, and Dalvin Cook, of course. This Vikings team is good. If they keep winning, they might push into playoffs. They got the young factors.
Yeah, I think they just got off to maybe a slow start, you could call it.
And they had some close losses. They were kind of iffy, but no, yeah, they'll beat the Jags. I'm confident in that. Going into the next matchup, we have the Bengals at the Dolphins. And yeah, the Bengals season has been crushed. It didn't look like they were making playoffs, but it took a turn for the worst with Burrow going down. And now there's just kind of an uncertainty. They don't have a good quarterback. They Joe Mixon has been hurt, so like Giovanni Bernard has been there, but he hasn't been as good as Joe Mixon could. They have these three really good wide receivers, but now with Burrow going out, they can't get their split share. So it's kind of a fantasy nightmare right now in Cincinnati because you can't rely on these wide receivers anymore because it's all touchdown based. Who's going to get the touchdown and who's going to, get the targets because it's all about the game plan at that point. I wouldn't really think anyone there is a good fantasy play and until Joe Mixon comes back, to be honest. And if Joe Mixon's out, Giovanni Bernard is a good flex play with that. But like a fantasy starter, the only one really looking there now with Burrow out is Joe Mixon.
Yeah, it sucks, especially for T. Higgins. Him and Burrow had a great connection there. Now, like you said, I wouldn't really trust anybody that's a wide receiver for the Bengals right now. As for the Dolphins, however, Myles Gaskin took a huge step this week. I don't know.
Yep.
It's been confirmed that is
No,
he playing?
as we're recording this, Connor, 5 minutes ago, Myles Gaskin has been taken off IR, so he will be back.
He has been taken. Okay, yeah. I just wanted to confirm that real quick. So that is great. You know, they're going up against poor Bengals defense for sure. I throw him in right away, make up for lost time. Myles Gaskin was great before his injury. I think he's going to continue that. For quarterback, however, you know, Fitzpatrick and Tua now, we'll see what happens with them. Because I feel like this would be the game to really start a young potential starter. But now they got Fitzpatrick starting. So it's very confusing on what they're planning on doing down there.
No, yeah, the Dolphins messed that up terribly. Fitzpatrick was rolling, the team was rolling, and they come out and said Tua's taking over. Why would you mess that up? And then Tua comes in and they pull him in the game that he's losing. It shows mistrust. That's terrible for a young quarterback, and now it's a whole debate of who they're going to play. It's a mess there. The quarterback situation is terrible.
Oh, yeah, for sure. Even though they have that problem, though, I still have the Dolphins beating the Bengals.
100%. I don't think the Bengals, with Burrow out now, they're just not something to contend with at all. Going into the next matchup, we have the Saints at the Falcons, and Taysom Hill is holding his own. Then again, he played the Broncos last week, who didn't even have a quarterback. But with Breeze out, Taysom Hill is holding his own. An interesting story with the Saints is Kamara is kind of had this lingering foot problem, which has kind of seen a dip in his production, and Latavius Murray has kind of taken a step up. I think Kamara will return this week and be healthier. He is still questionable, I'm pretty sure, on ESPN's app. But no, I think his foot is getting better. And if in playoffs you have him and Breeze comes back, he's going to get those pass targets again, and that's huge because Taysom Hill, you know, he's not the best passer. It's been a really Latavius Murray focused. So yeah, Latavius Murray is maybe a flex play now because he's really got the ground game going. Michael Thomas has developed, and this team's 9-2. They're a good team. I like the Saints. Jared Cook, obviously put him in your tight end spot. The defense has taken a step up greatly, and they just look good. They have looked real good.
Yeah, and for the Falcons, this backfield especially has just been so weird and dysfunctional all year. So for the Falcons, I would avoid anybody that's in their backfield for this matchup. But I want to take a moment to recognize the wide receiver, Calvin Ridley. He's been a great, now that Julio is getting older, he's been great second man up or heading up to be that first man once Julio gets to that age where he's either going to move on to another team or he's too old where he's not going to do that production or get that production that he once had. So Ridley, obviously, he's been great all year. But yeah, I just stay away from that ground game.
Yeah, I think the Saints will take this. Their defense has been fire. Taysom Hill probably will get the touchdowns, of course. Yeah, I think the Saints got this.
I have the Saints as well.
As for the next matchup, the Rams at the Cardinals, this should be an interesting one because two division rivals here, and that division has been great all season. So much competition there with the Seahawks, Cardinals, and Rams all threatening to take the top spot. But the Rams have kind of fallen under the radar this year because they haven't been super flashy. Goff has been average. Robert Woods has been good. I like Robert Woods. He's a play. Cooper Kupp has also been good. Both those guys are really good. But the weird, questionable thing there is that their running back committee has been the question of the century, and they haven't figured it out all season. Is it Henderson? Is it Akers? Is it Brown? And there's been injuries in there, and it's messed it up. I wouldn't trust any of them playing now because they're splitting touches all across the board. It's a mess there. But yeah, I like Robert Woods, and I like Cooper Kupp, and this should be a good matchup against the Cardinals.
Yeah, I'm excited. Also, like you said, Kyler Murray, I think he is going to really shine this game. Like you said, it's a big game because it's a rivalry game, division rivals. Kyler is going to have a great game this week. And I have the Cardinals taking this one.
Oh yeah, 100%. I mean, there's not a ton you can say about the Cardinals except the big three here. I mean, Kyler Murray, DeAndre Hopkins, and Kenyon Drake were their big three going into the season. Kenyon Drake has had some problems, but no, DeAndre Hopkins and Kyler Murray have been great.
Yeah,
They
must
have
start. They're
connected.
must starts every week.
Oh,
Hopkins and
100%.
Murray are
Kenyon
must
Drake
starts. Yeah,
has looked better. Kenyon Drake has looked
yeah,
better. I would start
for
Kenyon.
sure. Yeah,
Yeah. But I think the Cardinals will take this actually. Being 6-5, you know, they're one game apart, of course. Rams being 7-4. I think the Cardinals can take this. I really do. Next matchup, we have the Eagles at the Packers. The Eagles have completely imploded. Carson Wentz has been terrible. And they need to give Jalen Hurts a shot, Connor. I think you'll agree with me here.
yeah,
Another just
100%. I
weird
agree.
QB situation. Why? I mean, Carson Wentz has not produced even a spark for this offense. I mean, everyone's given up on him. Jalen Hurts needs to get a start here.
It's funny. They should be the team that's giving their rookie a chance, not the Dolphins. The Eagles should be giving their rookie a chance.
I mean, what are you
So
going to do? I mean, they're still in that division contention, but I think they're
yeah,
basically done now. I mean, they missed on Justin Jefferson in the draft. That's all their fan base is talking about. Miles Sanders hasn't really been a huge
yeah,
factor at
he
all.
had an awful week. He had an awful week the week previous. So
This team is bad right now. Like they might get Zach Ertz back pretty soon, but when you don't have a QB who's a turnover machine, I only have bad things to say about the Eagles right now.
yeah. As for the Packers, however, look for Aaron Jones to completely dominate the Eagles on the ground. And let's not forget that they're mostly healthy now. So we have Aaron Jones is healthy. Devontae Adams, Alan Lazard is healthy as well. So we got two great wide receivers Rodgers is going to throw to. So look for Devontae Adams and Rodgers. Their chemistry has been great all year. So that is going to continue. The Eagles do not stand a chance. I have the Packers winning this one.
Yeah, I mean the Packers are my NFC favorites right now. I think they'll go to the Super Bowl. And I think this is going to be the stab to completely decimate the Eagles. And they've been hurt. They've been hurt, but I think the Packers have just gonna take it to them this week, blow them out. I mean, you almost want to keep Carson Wentz in, I guess, and take it because Jalen Hurts doesn't want to come into this. But it's just a mess there. I think the Packers kill them.
Yeah, I agree.
Going into the next matchup, we have the Patriots at the Chargers. The Patriots, obviously, you can say this every week about them. They're not the same with Brady. They're not the same. Cam Newton isn't what he was 4 years ago. He isn't that star quarterback anymore. And they've dealt with some injuries. The running backs have been mostly hurt. Rex Burkhead out for the season now. James White, Sony Michel, both been injured a ton of the season. So, like, Damian Harris has come out as their top running back. But I guess what's holding them together is their defense, and I wanted to get into this a little bit. Belichick is really good at knowing what to do against offenses. That's why he's such a great coach. He's such a great defensive-minded coach. And he talked about Herbert this week, and I think he really has a good game plan to go against Herbert, and he's really good against these young quarterbacks, usually sniffing them out and coming up with great defensive strategies to stop them. But yeah, no, the Patriots, I almost want to say they need some new guys there. They really do. They need some picks this offseason.
Oh, yeah, for sure. But as for the Chargers, however, you mentioned Herbert. Herbert and Keenan Allen have been pretty good all year. But let's not forget, Austin Eckler, I
Oh,
believe, is
yes.
active now.
Yep.
So everyone's focusing on Herbert, right, for the Patriots, and they are a good pass defense. But maybe Eckler will fly under the radar this week, going into this matchup and tear up the Patriots. I could see him getting in a bunch of red zone touches, getting in the end zone at least once this upcoming Sunday. So I'm excited to see what will happen in this game, just because I think that Eckler is going to be so unpredictable to see how he's going to come back in this game.
Yeah, and just a couple things to add on there. Mike Williams has also had a decent connection with Herbert. He could be a flex play, and Hunter Henry has been a good tight end as well. I mean, this Chargers offense really just looks good, but their defense has been their problem.
It's the defense, exactly.
I think the Patriots actually will take this, though. I think Belichick is going to find a way to figure this out. What's your take?
Yeah, you're right. Right, like Bill Belichick, he's the GOAT of coaches, right? So I agree with you 100%. I got the Patriots.
Okay. Going into the next matchup, we have the Broncos at the Chiefs, and a really good, kind of weird storyline coming out of the Broncos was how they had no quarterbacks activated for last week, and the NFL didn't delay their game. It was really questionable because the NFL delayed the Steelers game for almost a week. The Steelers
Yeah,
Ravens
it was supposed
game
to play on Thanksgiving.
Yeah, it was delayed basically a week, and the Broncos had to play with no quarterback, so they were pretty mad at the league about that. But the Broncos getting at least Drew Lock back this week will be nice for them, getting a quarterback back. But no, the Broncos aren't a very good team, let's be honest here. Noah Fant has been probably one of their best players. He's a good tight end. He's looked good. Melvin Gordon and Phillip Lindsay haven't been the greatest, and Melvin Gordon has had his own controversies this season. And even wide receiver Jerry Jeudy has looked good, but he still needs to learn. And Drew Lock really hasn't been what they wanted him to be. So yeah, no, especially going against this Chiefs team, the Broncos are going to be toast.
It was such a weird game last week. I remember there was the first, play for them on offense, and then they line up in the wildcat with Phillip Lindsay as the quarterback. It was just funny to watch, and then he just runs up the middle. Yeah, it wasn't even a play either. The guy hikes it and he just runs up the middle and tries, to get as much as he can. It was weird to watch, but almost funny too. You don't get to see that as often. As for the Chiefs, however, I would start, any wide receiver really, if you need a flex spot, potentially, because Mahomes is going to light up this Broncos defense. Obviously, him and Tyreek and Kelsey are the big three on that offense who have been great all year. But Mecole Hardman has had a pretty good year too. And Sammy Watkins is also back from his injury. I don't think he's going to make that big of an impact, but I think he got 9 points last game. So he's there and he's getting targets.
Yeah, but yeah, Tyreek having that huge monster. And we don't even have to discuss this. The Chiefs are winning this game, and there's not a doubt in my mind the Broncos win this.
I mean, the Chiefs win this.
Yeah, sorry. Jeez. You're on the same page there as well. I'd almost call you crazy if you weren't. Going into the next matchup, we have the Bills at the 49ers. Yeah, the Bills are a good team, 8-3. I like the Bills going into the playoffs. I think they can make a splash. I really think Stephon Diggs fits in well with that team. I really do. Josh Allen taking a step this year has really made Stephon Diggs advance his game as well. They've looked really good. But the problem there has been this running backs. There isn't a clear-cut number one.
They're sort of like the Rams, right? Would you say?
It's very similar to the Rams.
Backs. Yeah.
But the difference there is it's not Singletary, it's not Zach Moss. Josh Allen is the one who's running. And it's really interesting to me because you'd think he's more just to sit back in the pocket, hit his guys like Stephon Diggs. No, he's mobile, and he's looked really good this year. He's getting those rushing touchdowns as well. I mean, I have no trust in Zach Moss or Singletary, but I like the receivers, and I like Josh Allen.
And as for the Niners, this team has had the injury plague all season long. Their starting quarterback went down. So many of their running backs went down. Honestly, they've been so dysfunctional mainly because of injury. This is a good team any other year. This year I'd avoid almost everyone. Deebo Samuel, he recently has came back and he has looked pretty great, so maybe throw him in the flex. But other than that, I would use caution. And I have the Bills winning this one just because they've looked overall better. And like you said, Josh Allen has been great this year.
Yeah, I think the Bills will win as well. Going into the last matchup, we have the Cowboys at the Ravens. The Cowboys, again, losing Dak, terrible loss. Dalton hasn't been the greatest. And that really sucks for the Cowboys because they weren't amazing when Dak was there, but they obviously were better because they have these guys like CeeDee Lamb and these guys who have just, been great. Michael Gallup, Amari Cooper, they're great wide receivers. But another thing out of them is Ezekiel Elliott has not had a good season. He is really fallen to like a flex, almost like bench type. Like he cannot get it going. He's fumbling a lot. The offense really turned into a mess there, and the defense just can't hold their own. The Cowboys are just another team in that division that has kind of fallen off along with the Eagles.
Yeah, they just need to get to the off season and just figure out where they need to go and fix it for next season. As for the Ravens, however, they have been hit with the COVID bug recently. Lamar is out for this one. So many guys are out for this one. So it'll be interesting. Maybe the Cowboys have a slight chance at winning it. But at the end of the day, I have the Ravens winning it, even if Lamar isn't active. So I got the Ravens.
Yeah, I have the Ravens as well. I think Lamar will have a great.
Since so many people have been hit by COVID and people are still unsure, it's not really anybody as of yet is a must start.
Yeah, and then just things to keep in mind, 2 teams on the bye this week that we didn't talk about. Of course, the Buccaneers and the Panthers.
All right, guys, that is all we have for you today for fantasy. We hope you guys enjoyed it. Thank you for sticking with us for this video. Was sort of long, so thank you for staying with us for the whole thing. We hope you enjoyed. We'll try to bring you another episode next week after the Cowboys-Ravens game has been played.
Yeah.
We're enjoying it, and we're excited, and we'll hope to see you next week.
Hope you guys can make playoffs.
Yeah, good luck.